Doing? What you do?
One day I'm gonna learn how to play these.
All right, okay.
Meanwhile, I just have fun.
All right. Having fun. It's time for reading, sir.
You called me again.
Yes, I did.
Oh God, what chapter are we on?
We are on chapter 8. Yes.
Chapter 8, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, see, this is what can happen when you go to Mr. Yam-Soo Kim's goat restaurant. Goat specialty, goat soup, goat for your iron and all the rest of the things. He could explain to you better than I can.
Yes.
But Yam-Soo Kim's goat restaurant on Pico, about a half a block. You applaud. Yeah.
I definitely.
About a half a block east of Crenshaw.
Amen.
On the.
It's on the corner.
On the south side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see a picture of a goat, and you'll go there, and I'm feeling charged up with all of that.
And if you can order takeout, that's a perfect idea too.
No problem. No
Amen.
problem.
Okay.
At this point in time, he might be able to give you a goat and you can take it with you. But don't ask, don't tell him I said so.
At least an extraordinary meal.
Chef Yam-Soo Kim. Yam-Soo Kim. Okay, let's go to
Brazilian Nights.
The Brazilian Nights. And today, I'm not going to look at you, I'm going to look at the camera. Because I've discovered that while looking at you, I'm distracted. And I start thinking about the story.
Of course.
The real story.
The real story.
But Yam-Soo Kim.
Yes, sir.
For those who do not like goat meat, don't go near the place. Because if you do go, you might become addicted with just simply one order of what you take out.
There's many choices, by the way. But he does have
many choices, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
You don't have to speak Korean. Just understand
good food.
Good food.
Amen. Okay.
Now, this book is called Brazilian Nights.
Brazilian Nights. My goodness.
And it is a story of a woman named Valonga Prince who is making her way around the world, learning, studying, doing all she can to absorb the knowledge that masters in this world have to give us. I'm being vociferous about this because there are times when people are surrounding us who have knowledge that we could just blow up on.
Yes.
But what do? We just shrug them off.
Yes.
We shrug them off. Yesterday, I'll give you a story before the story. We go to the Filipino grocery store on Atlantic. And
Pacific, yeah.
Atlantic. And there's a guy who is standing outside of the restaurant. He's a very famished, awful-looking, terrible-looking Filipino beggar guy. They got black beggars and Chinese beggars. In America these days, we have a lot of people begging because they're suffering.
Right.
There's a food shortage for some people. They call it a food desert or whatever it is. Anyway, I'm going into the store to buy what I'm going to buy.
Some pampano.
Well, you say pompano, I say whatever they had, I was going to get.
Okay.
Pompano first. He says to me, help me out. So, well, I don't have any money to give you. He says, buy me a fish. So, okay, I'm there to buy fish anyway, so I'll get an extra fish. I'm in the line, I got 3 fish, and I look up, and he's walking behind me to check me out to see if I'm buying the fish. But I remember he wanted the fish dinner, which cost like $14 or something. I'm saying, no, I'm not going to spend $14 on the guy. I'm not spending that much money on what we eat.
Right.
You know, we're not affluent. We're just buying food to eat.
Right.
I decided instead I could go to the Filipino, what do you call it, hot trays. And I could get the combo, #1, for $6. Okay, that's enough to spend on a homeless, needy man. I get it. Beautiful food. They got the Filipino food. Delicious food. I get that. I take it out. I'm walking back to the car. I go to him. Say, okay, I bought that. He said, fish? I said, no, I think it's a
combination
of rice and beef and whatever it is, and you know, the vegetables, and it's good Filipino food. He said, I asked for fish. I said, well, if you don't want that, I can take it back. He said, okay, I'll take it. But I thought that was so
American.
No. I thought it was so prideful.
Okay.
His sense of pride said, I asked you for fish. Right. You asked me what did I want.
Right.
I said I wanted fish.
Okay.
So what did you do? You didn't bring me what I wanted.
Exactly.
And I thought, you know, if I see you again, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I ain't gonna offer you nothing. Yeah, okay? You don't know me.
Okay, well.
Hey, you don't know me.
Our budget does not include you at this present time.
Sponsor people who have special needs.
Yes, okay.
I sponsor people who have special needs, but not dudes who have special appetites.
If possible.
I only want fish.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Having said that, let's go on to check. I can't forget that. He knocked me out. I wish I knew his name.
I know. But you know what I'm saying? So
did I not ask for fish?
I was always saying so American because we're so, as a people, we're so displeased with whatever we're getting, you know.
So snotty.
Yeah, you know,
Snottish.
not less appreciative, okay, as opposed to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, you got people in the world now who are eating roots.
Yeah.
You got people in this country, quiet as kept, who eating roots.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean.
I knew old people who were eating cat food.
Been doing it for quite a while.
Right, you know, couldn't afford a regular meal. Yeah. So, after all that depressing stuff, let's go on to reality.
So
it is reality.
That's what this is about too.
Okay. Reality. Gotcha.
She stared out over the blue-green waters of Lake Michigan from her 10th floor apartment. It was nice to have friends who would trip off for vacations and leave their condos in your care for a couple of weeks. She stirred the ballpoint around above the paper, undecided about her approach to the story she wanted to create. Valonga, remember, in Capoeira Angola, in life, you must allow the movements to flow. You understand? She smiled, picturing Master Juizo standing in front of the group of aspiring students, his arm folded across his chest, his eyes gleaming like marbles. Let it flow, huh? Valonga stared at the sentence as though she were reading words written by someone else. Let it flow, huh? How was I to know when I started on my trip that I would be entering worlds I had only dreamt about? A Georgia peach from a good family, the recipient of the best vibes money could never buy. My mother said, go for it, Valonga, go for it. And my father, bless his sweet soul, died and left me enough money to do exactly that. Valonga Prince, entrepreneur, stress management consultant to corporations filled to the brim with stress, money. What started me on the trip? What impulse took hold of me, made me want to study capoeira Angola, get into the bullfight, study the conga in Cuba with Armando Ba, beg to study the koto with Eta, get my ribs kicked in by taekwondo, do what I'm doing. She left her place in the breakfast nook to pour herself a glass of sherry in the living room. The lake shimmered in the near distance. Small boats saddled the waves. It seemed dreamlike. She wandered around the room, examining the things she examined 3 days before. The giant avocado trees, the African stools and masks. What's real? What is a dream? What's unreal? Let it flow, huh? She replenished her sherry glass and returned to the table and notebook in the breakfast nook. There are moments in capoeira Angola when everything comes into play, the muscles, the music, the mind, the primitive, the sophisticated, cruelty, warmth, life, the possibility of death, all counterpointed by the music of the birimbau, the pandeiro, the atabaque, agogo, and heku. The game becomes a reflection of everything that any human being will have to face in this life. The game becomes life. Sometimes it's sweet, like honey is sweet. At other times it's bittersweet, like cocoa with no sugar in it. But like life is never completely bitter, no matter what they try to make us believe. Life cannot be bitter. How's that for a statement? She stopped writing for a minute, flushed with the egotism of being capable of making a definitive statement. Manuel Arusa Machete said to me one day on a sun-drenched balcony in Andalusia, in the corrida, in life, there are no losers. Some of us may have more than others as we go on, but we all start off drawing in breath, breathing, filling our lungs with precious air. Later, much later, we think of filling our pockets with gold. Master Juizo, Armando Ba, Kimio Eta, Byung Bikim, and all the rest of the wisest men and women that I've ever met in this world have said the same thing. What is this about? My trip. What I've heard and paid attention to, the meaning of life to me, I can't really say, truthfully, what this is about. All I can see in front of me is a voyage that I must take. Art, writing, life, music, singing, the dance, all of the elements. Valonga carefully placed a ballpoint inside a notebook and closed it. She took a sip from her glass and made a meditative stroll into the living room to stare once again out onto the waters of the lake. Let it flow, huh? I can't write.
Oh my goodness.
I can't scribble out feelings that are so deep that they won't allow themselves to be placed on blank sheets of paper. The real monster is not the pen and paper, but you. You are your worst enemy, the real monster. Fuck you, Brother O. Valonga glared out of the window, a trickle of tears sliding down her cheeks. Who in the hell wants to write? Why should I force myself to try to put words on paper that's supposed to spell out how I feel about life, about anything? She wandered back into the kitchen, opened a notebook, and stared at the page she had been writing on. I'm not a writer. I can spell pretty good. But I know past from tense, from present tense, and I'm not a writer. Or am I? She slammed the notebook closed and leaned against the kitchen sink, feeling morose, melancholic, evil. Is that what writers go through? Damn. Under the circumstances, she felt the best thing for her to do was to have her hair braided. Yes, it's going to take at least 8 hours for the style you want. They called her Malana, the braider, and she was known by no other name. Malana, you mind if I ask you some questions while you work? We can talk. I'm not being interrogated. Valonga studied the images in the large mirrors surrounding him on 3 sides. She sitting in the barber's chair, and the slender, small-featured, dark-skinned woman combing her hair to be braided. Malana felt Valonga's head recording the surface with her fingers. She knew after a few minutes what style of braiding she intended to design. Malana, you have quite a reputation, you know? Yes, I do know. Valonga stared into the blind woman's eyes as she began to braid her hair from the back. She was obviously not given to idle chatter. Valonga settled into a relaxed state, absorbed by the intricate rhythm she felt happening to her head. The braider was carefully creating a basket weave on each side of her head with 6 cornrows striping the middle. How do you feel? Malana asked, an hour into her work. Valonga heard the words, knew what they meant, but couldn't answer. She nodded, glancing at the figure in the triple layer of mirrors that surrounded her. She studied the figure in the mirror, felt puzzled, but not surprised to see herself sitting in the barber's chair. Where was Malana? Malana. She felt a gentle, wavy feeling wash over her head, something pulling her into a deep sleep. Valonga and Malana, the braider, held hands as they stepped over the sleek black body of the leopard gracefully sprawled across their path. Valonga, don't be afraid of anything here. The animals won't bite you. The people won't lie to you. And when we leave, you'll have some idea of how people should really live together. 2 suns bathed their naked bodies with a buttery light. The tall sheaves of lush black grass that brushed against their bodies felt like massages. People of all colors played around them, to the left and to the right of them. Walked together, sang beautiful songs, sprawled on many oasis-shaped patches of ground, feeding lions, tigers, wolves, and other animals of prey, tidbits of food, new. Malana gently tugged Valonga's hand, calling her to a place beside her. She sat down beside a ribbon of liquid that moved as slowly as a vast glacier. The warmest, gentlest breeze Valonga had ever felt caressed her body. Valonga, how do you feel? I feel beautiful. I feel wonderful, lovely, sensual, gorgeous. I can't understand it. There's nothing to understand. Just simply relax and dream. Valonga looked into Malana's eyes, took note of the glitter. Malana, are you still blind here in this place? The braider's face was swallowed up by a sly smile. I wasn't blind in the other place. I simply couldn't see. Large and small birds, gorgeously feathered, fluttered onto the trees near them. The suns maintained a constant warmth, never too hot. It would be beautiful to have a man right now, someone who is sensitive and honest and loving. Malana moved slightly away from her side as the man cradled Valonga in his arms. He kissed her as though he were sipping nectar from a flower. They caressed each other. She was woman and he was man, and there were no questions to be asked. After hours of making slow motion love, after the mutual exchange of love feelings, the man stood up and backed away from her, smiling, leaving her with a perfect memory. She didn't feel the urge to know him beyond the point that they had been together. It had been perfect. No need to spoil it with any emotions beyond the ones they had shared. Malana seemed to flow back into Valonga's field of vision, her body steaming from a brief dip in the river. A word of caution, Valonga. You can get what you wish for here, if the vibe is right. They spent hours rolling on the riverbank, eating berries and other fruit from the low-hanging trees. Malana, who owns this place? We do, Valonga. We do. And we have never had a war. The braider beckoned for her to follow. She slowly stood up, fascinated by the sight of two lions playing a game of tag with a herd of springboks. An involuntary shiver rippled down her back, recalling the horror scenes of the killer lions lunging onto the backs of the deer in long ago scenes from the wild world of animals. They don't do that here. Malana spoke softly, following the direction of her eyes, reading her mind. They walked through the black grass, stopping to smell, taste, admire, watch. After half a mile, Malana pointed to the thatched huts of a tiny village. Looks like everyone is here for a change. As they approached the village, men, women, and children of all colors and races streamed out to meet them, laughing and smiling. Malana, welcome back. Where have you been so long? Where's your beautiful friend? Valonga felt a warm flush race through her being. The people were so natural, so warm, so human. No one frowned, looked malevolent, or acted inhumanly. How do you feel, Valonga? She stared at the images of herself and Malana the braider in the mirrors that corral them on three thighs. I feel as though I've been dreaming. Have I been dreaming? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Brother O rubbed the stubble of his chin, absently scratched his forehead, smiled as he read her story. And you say this happened while you were having your hair braided? Beautifully done, I might add. Yes, while I was having my hair braided. Thanks for the compliment. He flashed an absent-minded smile in her direction and reread her story. 20 minutes later, he was giving her a few fine points to consider. Valonga, don't trip on what I'm saying. They're just fine line points I'm making. You're no writer. You're a writer. No doubt in my mind. But what you have to do is use your writing muscles more. It's a lot like that capoeira you talk about. Capoeira. You know what I mean. If you don't work it, it doesn't become functional. I think what you need to do, frankly, is get into a subject you can feel strongly about and go for it. You got anything in mind? They exchanged knowing smiles as he made a slow advance and she backed away, fending off his advance of her with the edges of her palm. No, oh, not you. Valonga bent lower as he tried to mesh the music of, or she tried to mesh the music of Capo Angola into the slight sway that the boat forced into her jinga. Valonga, pay attention. The jinga is very important for Capo Angola, maybe the most important. Master Juizo demonstrated the simple steps of the jinga again and again. Like this, you see, close to the ground, lower. Is jinga, a simple stepping forward and stepping backward in perfect time to one of the rhythms of Capo Angola was elegant. In the beginning, her thigh muscles surrendered to fatigue and slowly grew stronger, able to stand the bent position for half an hour at a time. Do the jinga as your movement, you understand? The jinga is different for each because each of us is different. She felt comfortable doing the movements she had been taught. The mealua, the bangs, the au, the mastera. It was 11 o'clock, 11 a.m., and she had the mirrored ballroom to herself by arrangement with the chief steward. You want to practice dance? Yes, of course, you may use the ballroom. We only make use of it 3 times during our voyage. In the evening, she made a slow cartwheel. Ow. Look at her image upside down as she made the movement. What are you going to do now, Valonga? I'm going for a cruise to write a book. But why take a cruise? Why not stay with me and write? You know I'll give you all the help I can. Although I know you mean well, but as you've often said, you have to do what you have to do. Bon voyage. This is her second practice session in many days. She felt loose but tight like a spring. God, I wish I had someone to practice with. She continued her workout, alternating fast and slow movements, becoming loose in the motion of her muscles. The man sitting in a chair on the left side of the ballroom startled her. He was dressed in white and looked mysterious.
And that is the end of chapter 8.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Odie Hawkins, dressed in white.
Oh, I didn't think about it. Oh my God. Oh,
Okay.
I'm not.
I will take you to somebody else that she sees in the ballroom. And there we go.
No, I put my sweatshirt on to stay warm.
I understand. It's a bit chilly
But it's
out
the only
here.
one I got.
Gotcha. I'll have to do something about that.
So that's what's happening.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. That was a rather exciting chapter.
I'm trying to be excited, but not too excitable.
I do understand that very interesting concept of that weaving of the hair.
Yes.
It's in the weaving.
You know what happened?
Yeah,
I got to tell you this.
the story.
Up in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Up in Oakland, a hair weaver. I can't remember her name right now, but she tells the story about a woman coming to. About a woman who was going to get her hair braided, and she had these 3 mirrors, the way some people do, a mirror here, mirror there, and mirror in the middle. And the woman who was braiding her hair was seeming to be becoming like somebody who was controlling her mind.
She became uncomfortable.
She became uncomfortable with it. And she happened to look up and she saw this creature who looked like a huge gorilla behind her braiding her hair. and she didn't freak out immediately, but the first opportunity she got, she eased out of the chair. I have to go to the bathroom. She eased out of the chair and called her husband to come and get her because she was going through some kind of experience. And he came right away, thank goodness. And of course, the person who answered the door was just a normal person. And she said, okay, you come to get her. I haven't finished. And this woman who'd gone ahead said, and you won't finish, not my hair. So she left. Come to find out sometime later that almost everybody who went to see this woman wound up having mental problems. And she feels that she had managed to escape because she felt she was going crazy. I mean, I have a gorilla braiding my hair. That's strange, you know.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is that people who do things with your head, I mean, for example, in some religious movements, not movements, what do I want to say? In some religious sects, they really don't allow people to touch their children's heads.
In many cultures.
Many cultures, that's what I'm trying to
Yes,
say.
they don't allow. You do not stroke the back of a child's head. You do not touch a child's head.
Don't touch a
in
child's
many
head.
cultures, okay? And people who do that with other people don't know if they're breaking a cultural norm. So you know, and in today's world, we just don't touch strange
well, you know,
children.
people so unaware of other people's cultural nuances that they frequently do things that are offensive. I mean, you know, the guy who goes to visit the Arab family and sits there with his feet sticking up in front of you know, and on and on and on. Or who wants to put his arm around his host's neck and kiss on his cheek, and you know, she's from a very orthodox Wahhabi family where women don't get accosted by strange men.
My mother told me of a case where a student nurse was taking care of a Jewish man, and she just came in and she's like, she tells him as she takes his keeper off, she says, "Did anybody tell you you're not supposed to wear a hat inside?" So the man became very frustrated and, you know, and demonstrative, and so the nurse came running to my mother like, "Why is he so angry?" And so my mother explained, "You did a no-no, you really did." So
one of the things, hopefully, one of the purposes, despite the fact that I seem to be taking this just as a story to be read, one of the things I hope it will do is to acquaint some people with other people's cultural nuances. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing it because we're all on the same earth, the same world, the same planet. And I feel, frankly, and I'm sure you agree, the more we know about each other, the better we will be. Go get yourself some good goat soup at Mr. Komsu Ken's restaurant, and you'll feel better.
Yes.
Okay, I gotta go.
All right then. Thank you very, very much for that reading. I look forward to chapter 9.
You got it.
All right. Thank you for this moment in time. Yes.
This time.
This moment in time.
This moment in time.
Right. Hit the like button below if you like this video. And please subscribe. Thank you very much, Odie Hawkins. Yes, indeed. That is Brazilian Nights by Odie Hawkins. Website, www.odiehawkins.com. And the book can be purchased on Amazon. No longer iUniverse, but on Amazon. And that's about it for now. Oh, careful here. Hot stuff.
Me or you?
Ciao.